Good evening. I would like to welcome each and every one of you to the Midtown Redevelopment Area Board meeting, Tuesday, April the 9th, 2013, 6 p.m. in the City Hall Commission Chambers in the lovely city of Daytona Beach, Florida. I'd like to, at this time, call the meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Benjamin?
Here.
Ms. Simonette? Here. Mr. McGee?
Here.
Ms. Tato? Here. Mr. Tooley?
Here.
Ms. Hurd?
Here.
Mr. Williams? Dr. Jameson? Here. Ms. Ford? Here. Chairman Ivey?
Present. At this time, I would like to have everyone stand for our invocation, which will be led by Mr. Tooley, and our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Ms. Simonette.
Father God, as we come now to deliberate the business of the city, especially the Midtown area, we ask you to give us wisdom and guidance as we move into these deliberations, and let it be done expeditiously. And in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we move on to item number 5, I would like to welcome our newly appointed member, Ms. Kenya Ford. I would like to give her a few minutes to speak, if she so choose.
I really wasn't planning on that, but I am happy to be here, and I'm happy to be a representative for the Midtown area, and I'm here to do some great work. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of the Midtown Redevelopment Area Board, Chairman, I'd like to take this time to personally welcome you to the board and to the community, and I hope you continue to do great things. As we get ready to move on to item number 5, I want to take the time to personally thank this board, the staff, and the city of Daytona Beach for allowing me the opportunity to serve in this capacity. It has been challenging. I've learned a lot, I've done a lot, and I feel that I have more to do. Although I will be on the outside, I refuse to stop working for the Midtown community. I would like to let each and every one of you know that now that I don't have to abide by the sunshine law, I might have the opportunity to call you and say hello. So I really want to take that time to thank each and every one of you for the support that you have given me in the past 4 years that I've served on this board. I cannot say enough or tell you thank you enough for how you supported the leadership that I have provided to you. I think it's important that as you go into the election of your new officers, I'm going to stop there for a minute. I want to recognize our sitting city commissioner, Ms. Paula Reed, for allowing me to finish a task that was very important to the Midtown community, and that was the study of the PMG. I want to thank you for that, Commissioner. And I'm going to encourage and ask each and every one of you to please continue to look at the master plan when you're making your decisions, and look at the study that was provided by PMG to know what can be done in our community. Leadership is very important. After 15 years in the military and in different organizations, studying and knowing how to lead and be successful is one of my fortes. And as I looked over this board for the past 2 years, especially in the past year, I went back and looked at some of the film, and I just seen who was really paying attention and staying focused on the items that has came to us. And I'm going to ask this board, before we go into elections, to please consider Martin Tooley as a great chair for this board. And I think, in my opinion, I've noticed how Ms. Simonette has really came on this board also and paid attention to detail. So with that being said, we're going to have our election officers. The first officer that need to be elected.
Before we start that, I didn't quite understand what was happening. What had happened before in terms of why you stayed. We didn't get the information, and we did not know, at least I did not know, that your time was up and you had 3 months, because we didn't know that when we had the past election. Okay. And I felt like after the fact I found out information, and I think I rushed into making a decision. What I'm going to ask the board tonight is that we delay election of officer for at least one meeting. In the interim, we have a co-chair. At least delay it for one meeting so I can be a little bit more aware. A new member could be a little bit more aware. I guess if she's here interacting tonight. I want to ask, if at all possible, if the board would concur with me if we delay election just one more meeting, or is there some urgency?
Well,
I make that a motion.
well, before I go into motions, I haven't got
Okay.
that for yet. That
Okay.
is a point of
Well,
discussion.
I'm saying that's
Yeah,
what I'm-
that is a point of discussion.
Okay.
For me, I'm not here to make everything an issue tonight, and that could be a board decision, but as far as I know, we have to, it's on the agenda tonight, and for me, I would like to follow the agenda. However, since we're going into the election of officers, I think what we can do, and Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, I think what we can do is, you can make a motion on that when we come to it, but if it doesn't pass, we'll still move on to the election of officer. Am I correct on that, Ben?
Well, technically, right now, as of the date of the resolution, this board doesn't have a chair. But under the Land Development Code, the vice chair can serve in the absence or disability of the chair. Hamis, I know that you're sitting here tonight just long enough to get a new chair elected, which is fine since it's just a ceremonial thing. But if the members by motion want to vote to delay the election until next meeting, they can do that, in which case Ms. Hurd would be the temporary chair for tonight's meeting. And Hamis, you'd not have to, step down since your time is actually up. So, does everybody follow that?
With that being said, I think your point is well taken, Dr. Jameson, but in order for the board to continue to move forward, I think the board really should go ahead with the new election before you can move forward with the business of the Midtown community. That's my opinion. So with that being said, what I would like to do is make a motion for the chairman of the Midtown Redevelopment Board.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
at this point, I make a motion that we delay the election of officers for at least one meeting.
I second.
You heard a motion to delay it for one meeting, and it's been second. I'd like to take a roll call vote. On that particular
Chairman.
motion. Just a minute. There is a motion on the floor to delay the election of officers. It's been seconded by Dr. Jameson. Out of respect, I think we should go ahead and entertain that motion and do a roll call vote on that.
Ms. Benjamin?
No.
Ms. Simonette? No. Mr. McGee?
No.
Ms. Cato?
I had questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You've got a vote on the floor, so.
Yeah.
Well,
Can we
why
finish
wasn't
that
it-
vote and I come back? What was your vote?
Undecided.
Okay.
Ms. Cato, I'm sorry, you have to vote on matters that come before the board unless there's a conflict.
The reason I'm undecided is that there was a motion made because there was an inquiry. And I think it's only fair that her question be answered because there are other board members that may not understand why his term was extended 3 months, and why was there an election held and he was still kept into office? That would be my question.
Point well taken.
If I'm understanding you right, Dr. Jameson.
Yes.
I'm sorry, we're in the middle of a vote, so let me make a suggestion. If this vote, for example, were to die for no's, and then if, for example, somebody then asked that question and it was discussed, somebody who prevailed on this vote, who was in the, let's say if it failed, the no majority, could ask for that motion to delay to be considered again. But my recommendation would be that you finish the vote.
Thank you. Go back to Ms. Cato, please.
Cato?
If she's undecided, go to the next person.
Mr. Tooley?
No.
Ms. Hurd?
Yes.
Dr. Jameson?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
No.
Chairman Ivey?
No. No, will you please ask Ms. Cato one more time?
Ms. Cato?
If the noes have it,
Dr. Jameson, if I can answer your question. The way the Land Development Code works is members have a term limit, but when the commission adopts by resolution, approves a member on the board, the resolution states that they serve until replaced. The commission hadn't replaced Chairman Ivey, whose term would have otherwise expired until the last meeting. And,
See, that's kind of conflicting information, because what I heard was that he was allowed, which is a good thing, he was allowed to stay until we got the PMG report. So that's what I'm saying. It's kind of, I didn't understand.
I'm just telling you what the legal requirement is.
Okay. All right. So I didn't understand it, because otherwise, I think I put him in nomination for president before, but I didn't know that was only a 3-month period. So I just wanted some,
Let me just add that this has happened every year with other boards, and they do not, while we ideally like to get new board members once a year on a January, we get them in July. We sometimes have delays in when those appointments are actually made. And I can't give you all the reasons for it, but I know that we've had delays with other boards and this board before we get it. So it just depends on the business that comes before a commission and when something is going to get on an agenda. So again, we just had the decision of the commission to put somebody on to do the replacement. That has happened. As a courtesy, we've had and ask the chair to start the meeting, and then we'll make the transition right after there is an election.
I'll ask one more question. Could we have requested that our chair remain for, say, another year? Could we have requested through the commissioner that the chair, I'm just asking, has it ever been a situation where somebody's term has ended and they have been allowed to stay for a year, not 3 months?
The commission couldn't take a formal action formally extending somebody's position beyond what the Land Development Code allows. However, if the commission doesn't act, then by virtue of that non-action, the member remains. So if, for example, the board 4 months ago had requested the commission extend Chairman Ivey's term, the commission could not have voted to do that.
See, if we had known that, the board had known that, then that could have, I just don't, well.
Let me add something if I can. I wasn't aware until I came into the meeting that Chairman Ivey, you were going to be sitting up there, and this isn't to blame or suggest any negativity on anybody's part, but technically, Chairman Ivey's term ended when the commission adopted the resolution. I didn't say anything at the time because I was told that, just as a formality, the board was going to sit and let Mr. Ivey preside. But I now see from the last vote that there's a conflict among board members. And my suggestion, quite honestly, Mr. Ivey, and this is no disrespect to you, but you're not really on the board at this time. I would have Ms. Hurd take over the meeting as chair, and then I would have you all continue business, because I think there's too much of a potential for confusion because of the misunderstanding of people's status. And again, Chairman Ivey, this is not intended as a slide on you. I have frankly never come to a meeting after an election where somebody who has been replaced has sat. I didn't want to say anything until there was an appearance of a conflict. Technically, you're not on the board at this point.
Truly, I have no problem.
Sure, and I understand this was probably just something where there was an informal discussion, perhaps between you and staff before the meeting. But that would be my suggestion. I think it would help clarify things for the board.
I have a question. Ben,
Yes, ma'am.
are we going on with the election?
Well, as of right now, there was a vote which was not passed to delay. What my suggestion is that Chairman Ivey step down, Ms. Hurd take over. Now, if the next item on the agenda is to have an election, but somebody who was on the winning side of the last vote, if somebody on the winning side of the last vote makes a motion to rehear that motion, you can rehear a motion that's been defeated if a majority of the people vote to rehear it after somebody who was on the winning side.
I just thought we just voted not to.
You did. So if there's no other motion made,
I'm a little confused. Don't cut me off, please.
I'm sorry.
But if we voted not to delay, then I think the next step we should be doing is election of officers. Am I correct?
I agree. That's the next item of business.
Okay.
And I didn't mean to complicate things, Ms. Benjamin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Attorney Gross, I think there was a question inquiry by Mrs. Cato, and before I take over as co-chair of Midtown, I would like to say, in reference to what Mrs. Dr. Jameson is saying, I understood that he was going to be on the board, but what I think she is trying to clarify, being on the board and holding a position is two different things maybe in her eyesight. He could have remained on the board, and back in January, we could have had election, and we wouldn't have been going through this.
That's right.
Okay.
But at this point, now that all that has been cleared up, in order to make this board happy and be able to move forward, I think what we should do, I will hold elections that way if Ms. Hurd want to make a motion, because once she sit over here, she's not allowed to make a motion. So what I would like to do, to give everybody a fair chance, if there's a motion on the floor, let's do it like we've been doing it. Let's go ahead and hold election of officers, appoint a new chair, or I have no problem stepping down, let Ms. Hurd move over, and let the board meeting move on. I think that'll be the best thing to do. Okay? With that being said, once again, I thank this board, I thank staff, and I thank the city of Daytona Beach. I will still be a voice in our community. And hear me on 1590 WPUL on Mondays at 12 o'clock. On matter of fact, Mondays.
Thank you, Mr. Ivey. But I got a motion here because this is not right.
Sure.
What you're saying, I disagree with. She might come and sit in that seat, but we need to have this election tonight.
And that's what the code, the code requires that you have an election.
So, Ms. Hurd, this is your chair.
Mr. Ivey, would you join me here, please? Ms. Ivey.
Yes, ma'am.
We thank you for your service. We thank you for all that you've done, for the passion that you've had for Zone 6, for Midtown. We thank you for the energy that you've exuded. We thank you for the leadership that you've provided. And this evening, as you step down from that position, on behalf of the city of Daytona Beach, I present you this award of appreciation, presented to him as Ivy, Naris, Outstanding Service and Dedication to the City of Daytona Beach Midtown Redevelopment Area Board, 2009 through 2013. Thank you.
Thank you, board.
Thank you, Mr. Ivy. I would like to take the time just to say, on behalf of the board, and I can say the city, we thank you for the time and the service that you have given to this board. I am sure and hopefully that you will continue to be a positive spokesperson for the Midtown area. At this time, we will have the election of officers for the Midtown Town Board. Roll call, please. Is there a motion on election? Is there anyone who have a nomination?
I'd like to make a nomination for the chairman, Martin Tooley.
It has been moved and properly second that Mr. Tooley be chairman of the Midtown Board. All those in favor, let it be known by roll call.
Ms. Benjamin?
Yes.
Ms. Simonette?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Ms. Cato?
Yes.
Mr. Tooley?
Yes.
Ms. Hurd?
No.
Dr. Jameson?
No.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
At this time, Mr. Tooley has been nominated as the chairman of the Midtown Board. You may come and bring your name plate over and take your position.
Madam Hurd, you meant to say he's been elected, not nominated, correct?
Well, let it move on.
Yeah.
Question. It says, so now we need to change the co-chair too? Because it says election of officers.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Now you would elect the vice chair.
Vice chair. Okay. Well, I just want to keep rest.
Thank you, board, for your confidence in electing me as the chair. At this time, the floor is open for nominations of vice chair. Yes.
Question. It's my understanding that when we elected the officers, they were for the year, and that whatever came up with our chairman, that we were only replacing the chairman. So tonight we're electing all new officers for the year?
As the board, you have the right to elect all new officers. Yeah.
I have a question, and my memory's poor. Somebody mentioned earlier this evening, one of the board members, that we hadn't had an election in January. But Charles, was there an election in January?
Yes.
Okay.
There was.
If there was an election in January, and if Ms. Hurd was elected as the vice chair, then by the code, she serves for a term of 1 year.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I understand. And the confusion is saying that there was an election of officers. Point well taken, Ms.
It might should
Cato.
have been just a S. I mean, without the S. I'm just.
Yeah, should have just
So
been one officer.
technically, what this election was to replace the chair who had been, whose position had ended by virtue of commission action.
Okay. Good, because I didn't want her not to be the vice chair anyway.
Excuse me.
I said I didn't want you not to be the vice chair anyway.
Speak so I can hear you. Pronunciation is important.
Next, the approval of the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that the minutes be accepted with the necessary correction, if any.
I have a correction.
Okay, first we need a second, then we'll take unreadiness.
A second.
Any unreadiness? Yes, Dr. Jameson.
On page 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraph down. I'm just trying to correct that. What I was saying is that I saw an article about using the CRA funds for blighted area. Then I was attempting to talk about use of funds by nonprofit, and it seems like it all blurred together. So just to be clear, I read an article about using CRA fund for blighted area, period.
Okay.
Okay.
All
And that the money should go for actual projects and not to supplement private businesses. I think that's what we were talking about, the CRA, for, and actual projects and not for supplementing private businesses unnecessarily. And the last statement is fine.
Okay. Any other corrections? On page 11, under board comments, in the second paragraph, the third line should say Gould property, not Huger property. On page 11, under board comments, the second actual paragraph, the third line in that paragraph should say Gould property, Gould property, rather than Huger property. Any other corrections? There's a motion on the floor to approve the minutes with any necessary corrections. There has been properly seconded. All those in favor signify by the sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have our staff report. Is there anything going on that we need to address with the ComStat report? I did have a few questions, but anyone else have any questions on that? And I don't see Captain here. I did have a question in regard to the robberies, the armed robberies and the aggravated assaults being up so, and also with the firearms and domestic violence. I was wondering what the police department was planning to do to try to curb some of that growth. Because they were up by a tremendous percentage.
Charles, next meeting, we'll get you that information.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir, we're coming to now. Any questions in regard to the code enforcement report? All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, and
Yes.
I guess it should be directed to staff with leisure services, but I'm quite sure it'll end up being a police issue. I don't know if many of you all know it, but the local summer programs that we normally have throughout the city and the feeding programs that we have throughout the city, there will not be any this summer. And I will assume it's due to finances. The issue I have is that the closest YMCA is in Port Orange and Ormond Beach. When we have children in Midtown that are bussed all over the city, out of zone, 8 miles away from home, and school is out for the summer, and they have nowhere to go to be supervised, and they're left at home because parents have to work, and even if there's some supervision, a lot of times it's cousins and older brothers and sisters. Without supervision, children wander, and when they wander, they go to the mall, they go to the store, they go all over the city, they walk to the beach. My problem is when you don't have money and you're tempted because you're hungry, or you don't have money because it's something you want, the action you take is to take something that doesn't belong to you. So my problem that I need the city and the staff to come back to me and answer, why have the programs been cut? And if that is a federal feeding program where children can go and pick up a lunch during the summer, even if it takes volunteers that we need to get background checks on now and train them on how to keep the books for this program, we need to do something, because you're talking about statistics with guns and domestic violence and robberies. We're going to have a high juvenile rate of children running all over the city, unsupervised, committing crimes, which they probably think, oh, well, it was just a piece of bubble gum, but stealing is stealing regardless of what the item is. Back to the point, I need an answer, and I would really appreciate an answer at our next meeting about the funding for these programs, and if it's staffing, sometimes we have to give of ourselves without being paid. And there are too many people in Daytona, retired people that are semi-retired, that would love the opportunity to come out and work with the youth. But if they're not welcomed or informed, they're not going to move. So for the sake of the children, I need those questions answered. Please and thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to ask the commissioner if she has anything to say about this program not being offered in directly in Midtown, the Dickerson Center, that area. And if you have not seen the paper,
Sunnyland.
if you
Sunnyland also theirs is closed too.
beg pardon?
The Sunnyland, their program was closed also.
That's what I was about to say.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
If you pick up a paper from downstairs, you will notice the Midtown Cultural Center, which is on George Ingram Boulevard, and Arctona. Those are the only two in this area that will be funded and doing something. The Yvonne Scarlett Golden building, which is just built, will not be used. So we need answers. We need to know why is money being spent, used, building buildings, and services are not being provided.
Both of you have points that are well taken, but out of fairness to the city commissioner, so that she can have a chance to be prepared to answer your question, we can deal with that at the next meeting. That way, when the answers come forward, we know that they have been researched and they're not off the cuff. Is that fair enough for you, Madam Commissioner? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just need to, since I'm not familiar with what's going on, what I understand is that out of the summer programs that's usually run by Leisure Services, there would only be 2, and that's at on George Ingram and Arctona. So Dickerson Center, didn't they have one at Shelby? Did they have one over there?
Well, those are only 2 listed on the paper.
So Dickerson is out. And the kids from Dickerson Center would have to find their way over to George Ingram? Is that what I'm hearing?
Plus scholarship to pay.
Plus, okay, I just want to make...
They will have to pay. Scholarships are being offered. They can fill out forms, but most of the time, they're just on the streets.
Okay. I agree with Ms. Cato that if that is the case, and I'm very familiar with the Dickerson program because I'm there every other day, and if necessary, and this is to the commissioner, if necessary, I would ask that a meeting be called or something, asking for volunteers or something, and we find a way to keep the Dickerson, because I know the Dickerson Center is very, very much so needed and was well used there. So if we can find a way to do what we can do, particularly since she also mentioned that they distribute the lunches there. So someone's going to have to do that too. But then I'm also wondering, what is the staff at Dickerson Center going to do, if not that, this summer? So
I understand that they do not have staff, which means that brings a question to me. Where is the money going? Is it top or where? Because they have cut so many jobs, so many positions, but still I see that salaries are being increased on a daily basis almost.
Okay.
And sometimes we just have to let go and receive less.
Okay, once again, that we will address at the next meeting, because right now we're not ready to get those answers. But we'll address that at the next meeting. Mr. Bryant, is there some way that you can get that information for us? Or is it a way to invite Leisure Services in to address that?
If we could, Mr. Chairman, we'll contact Mr. Percy Williamson and have that
Okay.
discussion, and he may or may not be here, but we'll find out the best way to get that information back to you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Moving to item number 8, action item. If you could read that for us, please, Mr. Bryant.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
Ask you to bear with me. I'm kind of losing my voice. I'm trying to catch a cold again, I think. But this is item number 8, action item DV 2013-021, site plan minor modification, 885 and 887 West International Speedway Boulevard. This is a request by Joe Hopkins of 100 Marina Point Drive, Daytona Beach, Florida, on behalf of Don Dawkins. This is to bring the property in compliance with current land development code regulations. As the this request is a review of the proposed site plan as required by Article 4, Section 8.2C of the Land Development Code. The board action is to review the application pursuant to the appearance standards for the redevelopment area as required by Article 3, Section 5.1 of the Land Development Code. As I stated, the project description, you should have a copy of the recent revised report. I placed it on the daises. You should have a copy of that. And the site review, Article 4, Section 8.3 of the Land Development Code, the reviewing body in reviewing the site plan shall consider whether the proposal is consistent with all applicable policies of the comprehensive plan and whether any conflict in policy would be created. If you look to Section 8.3, the criteria, according to the review or the technical review team, the criteria has been met for this particular site. It's going to be used primarily for, this site is going to be used for motorcycle sales and insurance sales at that location. I do have the representative for the applicant is here, Mr. Joe Hopkins, tonight. He can answer any questions that you might have, but based on the information provided through the technical review and the site design guidelines and requirements by the Land Development Code. Staff is recommending that the Midtown Redevelopment Area Board approve the site plan for the project known as 885 and 887 West International Speedway Boulevard, minor modifications subject to the resolution of all outstanding technical review team items being addressed.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Yes, we're ready for you, sir, for the applicant.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Joe Hopkins. I have an office at 100 Marina Point Drive here in Daytona Beach. As Mr. Bryant said, well, let me back up a little bit. In February, we brought this item before you all in a conceptual form. We had come up with the concept of how we were going to redevelop the site, and we had just initiated our discussions with staff. Since February, we've gone through staff review, and we've addressed all outstanding comments. The plan that's in your packet right now reflects the latest site plan with regard to the demolition, the landscaping, and the other site improvements that are proposed. It's going to be a vast visual enhancement to what you see out there right now. So I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. As Mr. Bryant said, we've complied with the requirements of the Land Development Code, and I would request your support for this.
Is this the location on the corner of Adams?
Yes, ma'am, it is. There's insurance sales with the sign on the roof, which is coming down.
Will that building come into compliance also?
It's gonna. I've spoken to Mr. Hawkins. He's a property owner. The insurance building, there's signage on the roof that's almost like a parapet. We've identified that signage is going to be removed, and the building is going to be repainted and refurbished and freshened up. And the other building as well, to the
in
east,
the rear,
is also being refaced.
My next question, that ingress on Adams Street, I got it. So the only way to enter off International would be the second entrance, which is east of the headed east.
Yes, there's two entrances off of International Speedway Boulevard. The site currently has two access points onto Adams Street. There was one adjacent to the insurance.
Right.
And that driveway was only one lane wide, and even as I visited the site, I saw people using it as a two-way drive. It was a bit of a confusion. So we talked with the traffic engineering department and felt that it was important to close that access point and limit the access to ISB, and then there's a two-way access off of Adams that gets to the rear of 885, the most easterly building.
Okay. Is that curb in compliance for handicap? Is it already in compliance, or will it be brought into compliance?
I don't believe there's a pavement marking on the ground, to be honest with you. And we're gonna, it's all proposed.
Okay. And I'm not an engineer, but coming out of that parking lot on Adams Street with that traffic signal being right there, there is enough,
Clearance.
help me, Mr. McGee.
Enough stacking room?
There is enough room for traffic to proceed to the light as well as come out without them straddling the sidewalk to pedestrians. Because it's not a long, here it looks like a long drive, but in actuality, that exit is not that far from that traffic signal. My concern is traffic that's already there, if somebody's coming out of that business, straddling the parking lot, not just for a pedestrian, but someone that's in a wheelchair. Adams Street.
Yes, ma'am. I believe there is, and also the city's traffic engineer believes that there is sufficient stacking room. We position the gate, if you look on sheet C3, we position the gate into that driveway, approximately 20 feet back off the property, so that a vehicle will not be encumbering the sidewalk.
Okay.
When he is either entering or exiting the property, he has the ability to pull all the way forward and clear the sidewalk and open the gate. And the same on the exit. He would be able to completely exit the fenced-in area, lock the gate without encumbering the sidewalk.
Question, will the entire surface for both the insurance company and showroom and the property, will that all be resurfaced, repaved?
It's not intended. The condition of the asphalt is actually pretty good. Now, what you see is there's areas that are grass that are overgrown, and we're proposing to landscape those. This is actually between the two buildings. But the asphalt, the condition of the asphalt is fair.
For the front property? But I'm talking about the bays in the back or on the side, or that's still going to remain rubble, rocks and sand?
It's a combination of asphalt and concrete. And we don't have any plans at this point to resurface that area.
I thought bringing it into compliance and code was the appearance standards. And with our master plan, if this is something that you all want to bring in and it's in compliance, I think that the entire project should match together, not the front looking nice and the back is, rubble. I drive by there quite a bit, and I look over, and the one thing I questioned was whether or not they were going to asphalt that back property.
What we've done is we've added a 10-foot perimeter buffer, a landscape buffer around the property on all public right-of-ways. And we also are proposing to install a 6-foot tall PVC fence, opaque fence. You won't be able to see into the property 10 feet off of the right-of-way line. So there'll be a landscape buffer and a 6-foot fence.
But what if somebody's pulling in there with their car and they're driving on rocks, which kick up and, technically I wouldn't take my car in there on that surface. I'm just being honest. That's just me, one person. But if you're going to come into compliance with the appearance standards, I think that back property should be paved as well. And I'm going to have one more observation on this handicap parking space. Is that, I see you have two. The one that's farthest east, this parking will be for both insurance customers as well as the motorcycle scooter customers?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parking spaces. For 2 businesses. Am I concerned about that handicap space that's farthest east? Is it to serve both businesses, or my concern is I thought it would be closer to the insurance building.
We have one adjacent to the insurance building.
That one? Okay.
And there's one to the east that's in front of the dealership.
Okay. But technically, we do have enough parking spaces for the 2 businesses.
Yes, ma'am.
According to the footage and all the stuff you all calculate in.
That's correct.
Okay.
There's very limited customer service area on between both of these buildings, and that's why there is what appears to be a very shallow number in the way of parking, but it does comply with the city's land development code.
Okay. Thank you.
I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Will the taxi company still be there too?
The taxi company is the property immediately to the east of this, and we have no ownership or control in that property at this time.
That's not yours.
No, ma'am.
They need to clean up too.
Ms. Simonette? Ms. Ford, have you got any?
No.
Dr. Jameson?
I'm
Ms.
good.
Hurd?
No.
Mr. McGee?
I'm in favor of this, however, I would like someday to discuss the taxi company. I'm in favor of doing this, but I have no comments on it, except that we've raised the issue of the taxi company, and I'd like to discuss that someday.
I can share just a little bit of insight on that. I represented the prior property owner before the tax company, and the rules of bringing properties into compliance were not in existence to the level that they are today when that property changed hands and changed uses. This was probably 6 or 7 years ago that it did change hands, and it preceded the effort of the city staff and the city as a whole to beautify these areas.
There were still some, I'd like to discuss it someday.
Sure.
Not now.
With no further questions, we are ready to entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve action item DEV 2013-021, site plan minor modification 885-887 West International Speedway Boulevard.
Chairman, I second that motion.
Mr. Chair, just real briefly, typically when the presentation is done and before you take your vote, and it's okay to have a motion on the floor and seconded, but you would ask for comments and for or
Right,
against.
from the, okay. Are there any citizens that wish to address this particular issue? Another question I have. Mr. Berger, is there some reason that there aren't blue slips in this meeting like they are in other meetings?
I'm only familiar with the blue slips at the city commission meeting and
Planning board.
Planning board meetings and other
Planning board.
meetings also have them.
It's always been that way. We could certainly change the way we do things here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. I'm just asking for information. All right. Hearing nothing from the public, are you ready for the question?
Question?
Thank you. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for your support.
Item number 9, please, Mr. Bryan.
Board action item number DEV 2013-029. This was a request by Earl Johnson. This item was pulled from the agenda, and this item was pulled from the agenda.
I think what you're going to do, Charles, is request that the item be continued until the next meeting.
Okay. I'm requesting that item number 9, DEV 2013-029 be continued to the next meeting. The applicant for this particular item has been notified and is in agreement that we bring it back next month.
Okay, so do we need a motion to table that, or?
The motion should be to continue it to the specific meeting, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Do I have a motion to continue this into, what, for 30 days?
I so move. Make a motion.
Second.
To the May meeting.
Okay. It's been properly moved and seconded that we continue this till the May meeting for action item DEV 213-29. All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed, like signs. The motion carries. 10, please.
Item number 10 is action item DEV 2013-008. This is 512 and 520 West International Speedway Boulevard, minor site modification. This is a request by Mike McCurry of Zion Engineering, 240 South Palmetto Avenue, Daytona Beach, Florida, on behalf of AVS Investments, LLC, 520 West International Speedway Boulevard. That is also the location of the project, 512 and 520 West International Speedway Boulevard. This is also a revised copy that you should have on your dais that was passed out today. This is review the site plan as required by Article 4, Section 8.2C of the Land Development Code. Review application pursuant to the appearance standards for the redevelopment area as required by Article 3, Section 5.1 of the Land Development Code. This is final site plan approval by the Midtown Redevelopment Board. This is a request by Spanos to utilize the southwest corner of West Street and Charles Street for vehicular storage in the M1 Local Service Industry Zoning District. The site plan review, Article 4, Section 8.3 of the Land Development Code. The reviewing body in reviewing the site plan shall consider whether the proposal is consistent with all applicable policies of the comprehensive plan and whether any conflict in policy would be created. The site is designated retail on the city's future land map. The Section 8.3 of the criteria, it meets all the requirements of the Land Development Code and the technical review approval requirements. You do have a copy of the report listed. We do have a representative, Mr. Pete Zahn is here tonight to answer any questions you might have, but based on the information that has been provided through the technical review team and also the information that you have in front of you, it meets the design guidelines and requirements for the redevelopment districts, and staff recommends that the Midtown Redevelopment Area Board approve the site plan for the project known as 512 and 520 West International Speedway Boulevard, minor modifications subject to the resolution of all outstanding technical review team items outstanding be addressed.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. Zahn, would you care to address the board, please?
Good evening. Pete Zahn, 244 South Palmetto, Daytona Beach, right next door. Presentation was good. The site plan that's before you is good. I don't know if you remember, but there was a hut there. Robinson's had a house on the corner. That's been removed. Can't do any improvements until it's completed its review through this board. Got a fence. There's an existing fence on the edge of the existing pavement coming into Spanos. That would be relocated out to the right-of-way. And then landscaping along that 10-foot buffer. If you have looked at the landscape plan, you'll notice that there's 3 rows of landscaping. There's bulbine, then there's Indian hawthorn, and then there's viburnum behind that. Mm-hmm. And then there's a row of trees in between. Yes, sir.
Relocation of the fence to which right-of-way?
It would be easterly to the, Charles Street right-of-way. Mm-hmm. Then, now that new fence or that decorative fence will continue around the backside and along the northerly property line of Spanos as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions from the board?
The residents, they're all, the last, when this was presented to us, we understood that there was a couple that's right next to all of this.
Right.
And they're in agreement. And
Robinson Leal, they were co-applicants in the previous case that was before you, which was for going to the future land use.
Right.
And so they joined in the application. Mr. Spanos essentially did all the work with the application and the exhibits and the mailings. And then they have what would be considered non-conforming use because they have a residential,
Right.
2 residential homes. And then they own property across the street as well. Their daughter is in that. And yes, they are on board with all of this.
And as far as traffic, lighting, and noise, we were told in the last meeting that there would not be to the residents. It's more, I guess, around the corner.
Typical light requirements would be that any lighting that is outdoor be shielded and be directed so that it comes into the lot and away from adjacent properties.
So they want to incur a lot of traffic and the
There won't
functions
be-
of the business.
No, the parcel before you, the southerly portion, is going to be display. So Spanos will park those cars there. They'll be their automobiles. There's an existing building that will be used for like upholstery work inside.
Okay.
And then the existing space behind that is paved, and it'd be used for parking for the, I guess, the cars waiting to go into the upholstery. So there won't be any activity after whatever the operating hours are, 6 or 7.
Okay.
Ms. Benjamin? Mr. McGee?
Excuse me. If we had all of the folks who come before us as conscientious as Mr. Spanos, we'd be blessed.
He does some nice work.
Ms. Simonette? Ms. Ford? Dr. Jameson? Mrs. Hurd?
I have been observing the property since it was brought to the board last month, and I really do not have any questions. Only thing, I'm waiting to see it beautified on International, strawberries or whatever the case might be.
On International?
On International.
There is no landscaping there because it's paved right up to the edge, but we will landscape around the corner. You'll notice that corner right there will have a little bend to it. And I think you'll be very pleased with the landscaping. It's well overdone because there's 3 rows plus some holly trees that'll be planted down there.
Any public comment in regard to this? Hearing none, we are ready to entertain a motion.
I move that the DEV 2013-008 site plan minor modification 512-520 resident access given.
Second the motion.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Any disapproval?
Thank you
Hearing
very
none,
much.
it passes. Thank you. We are ready for our redevelopment projects updates. And
I must leave you.
all right, we are excusing Mr. McGee.
And the board made a good transition. I've sat through all the boards ever here, and you all are the best ones.
Thank you, Ken. Yes, ma'am.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Commissioner.
His ward.
Here you are.
Thank you. We're ready, Mr. Bryant.
Okay. You have in your packet redevelopment project manager update. I had the honor of, along with Mr. Berger, of going out last Friday with Commissioner Reed and taking around our area. We had a nice little tour of the area, and you'll see in your packet some of the issues that we have in our area. I put the tour packet together for her, and I wanted to make sure the board members had a copy of this, that we know what we need to do in our area. We've got a lot of issues out there that we need to take care of. I thank the board members that call during the week, that text me. We tried to make sure that we responded to the calls and the texts. I'm sorry, Ms. Hurd, I couldn't get an answer for you for the text that you sent me, but I'm still I'm looking into that for you. But I wanted to make sure that you're aware of some of the issues that we having out there. Also, if you go down South Street, you'll see that we getting progress. We're getting sidewalks down on South Street, and our area is, and a couple of streets over from South Street, we're Cedar. We're starting to get sidewalks, and so we're getting improvements in the area. The last meeting we had reported about the cleanup of the grass in the area. So I again ask you to please contact me. Send me an email, call me, text me, and please, let's stay on top of it. And we're working hard to try to take care of some of the issues that we have out there. If you see some, please let me know. Chairman Tooley can vouch that if he calls me that I get out there and try to make sure that we take care of it. So if I'm not in the office, I think most of y'all have my cell phone number. If you don't see me after the meeting, you can get my number and give me a call, and we'll work together to try to take care of the issues that are out in Midtown. Yes, ma'am.
What was the water utility doing on Martin Luther King? Do you know? I think, I might be wrong, but it looks like the same crew that normally goes around and clean the pipes out. They are all over town. They do that frequently. It's the same crew that I saw out there, if that's the one you're talking about. Yeah,
they do that. Down. Yeah, they normally they clean out the I forgot what you call it, manholes. And they do that all over town. So that's probably what they were doing. I do want to remind you a couple of things. At last meeting, we had a presentation by PMG, and we asked that you send comments regarding the report that was issued. I think everyone should have a copy of the report. We really do need that information. We need your input to give back to us, because what we're looking to do is we want to bring back this back to you next month at the May meeting for your approval, so we can go in June. We could June or July. We should
be able to get to the CRA in May, and and then to the commission in June.
Okay. If you would please send me your comments, email me, let me know what your comments are, so we could go ahead and get this taken care of. So this is an important issue that we need to resolve as soon as we can. I think that's the end of my report. I entertain any questions anyone might have.
Yes. Yeah. Mr. Bryan, on 601 South MLK, I guess that's a form of gambling with the machine there?
Yes, ma'am. It's no longer there.
Okay. And what is the Halifax Wrecking Company doing? They have been before us several times on Marion Street. That particular site is a code issue.
and code has to deal with that. I know he's been before a special magistrate, and I'm not sure what the status is on that particular property. I put it in here because it's right across the street from the other property where the 507 Loomis Avenue, that particular property is a major issue. I think we have met with the county. I contacted code enforcement. We met on site with the county. We've contacted Environmental Protection Agency to assist us with seeing how we can clean up this particular property. In the meantime, it has been secured. The warehouse there has been boarded up. The gate has chains on it, locks, and I have the key. So we did secure it because when we found, if you look at the picture, you'll see we know people were living in that particular area, and it's really dangerous because we're not sure if the tanks are empty or what's in the tanks right now. So we want to make sure we secure the property and make sure it was safe for the neighbors in the area.
I haven't finished yet. 213 Garden Street. That has been before us, I think, before. We have been talking about this property. And what are they doing about it?
They don't have the insurance to fix it.
On that particular property, you're right, that it's a police issue. It's a property that has a lot of fire damage. I'm working with the building official. I'm going to take him out to that site and see if we can go ahead and get permission to demolish it.
Yes, it is the police issue with the vacant lot there.
Yeah. Well, community development had a duplex next door that they tore down. They're going to build another house at the site where the duplex was. So we're trying to make sure we could get that particular property clear before they build another house on that site.
Okay.
It's been.
Thank you.
Is anything ever going to happen with 836 Orange Avenue? I don't care. It's terrible.
As you can see, I put on that is another code issue. I did have a discussion with code enforcement. Is no trespass warrant has been issued for that particular property, and I was just in discussion with the code officer a few days ago because now it's a family issue with that particular family, and so I don't know exactly how they're going to handle it, but it is a problem and been a problem for a while.
Ms. Cato.
We have multiple houses on Division Street. Are these Fulton and Division? And then I noticed in this report the paint situation. When we had the issue about who's responsible for the grass, is it possible that through our water mailing, something could be put in there informing the residents that there is a paint program, because everybody can't afford paint, and a lot of people go to the landfill and get the free paint, and you have to take what they have, or someone may bless them with paint, unbeknownst that the city has a paint program, a color program in place. Mm-hmm. And when you paint a whole house, to be told that you're out of compliance and you already have your budget monthly, and now you have to be warned and fined and brought before a magistrate to correct the problem. If possible, do you think we could do something with the city utility bill water-wise stating, just a reminder, if you did not know, the city has even if it goes to the businesses and the residents, because a lot of these people are doing the best that they can with what they have. And they're not doing it maliciously to say, I'm just going to paint my house whatever color. The other concern I have on Division Street, now word has it, people sit and wait for property to be demolished and they want to know what the price of the property is and they want to buy it. When it comes to this property, and this came to us either at the beginning of the year or late year, and the attorney explained it to us, who's responsible? And the issue came up with the car wash. He was renting, but this guy owned. Who do you bring to the board for the problems? The property owner or the renter? A lot of these houses on Division Street have been empty for years, and they're slowly decaying. So do we wait till they get to this state of just complete blight and we do something, or do we catch it as it starts? Because some stuff, you have to walk into that property and see. Other stuff is just evident from the road. So my question is, with this many houses on 2 streets, do we wait until it gets like this to start contacting the property owners, or is this just complaints? And I know code enforcement is stretched thin, but I think before things get to this level, and I noticed they didn't put them up on the screen tonight, but before these houses outside of fire, before they get to this level, I'm sure that if I see it, other people see it. And what do we do when it starts? I mean, it doesn't take much to tell that a house is empty because the grass grows up. We get them for the grass. Then eventually, the roof, you know, we see signs of decay. So what do we do? Who do we hold accountable?
Well, what we have in place is we have a list of houses that we are recommending that has to go to the city commission to be approved for to be demolished. I work with permits and license. I work with code enforcement to put together that list. Like I say, I'm working with we have a new building official. I'm working with him. I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the commissioner. I'm going to take him out and show him. He has pictures of properties that we would like to demolish. We also are working, trying to put together a program where we could get one demolition company that would give us a good rate for the city to demolish these houses, because when we go to, the process is we have to bid out for each particular property, and we have to wait 10 days for them to return that bid. In turn, once that demo company has won that bid, they have to submit to EPA. They have to wait 10 more days. So we find that a lot of these properties are coming up, and it's taking a while for us to get to be able to demolish them. And so we're working on putting together. We've got a list already that we're going to try to send back to the city commission to get them approve it. And once they approve it, then he could send, the building officials send out a 5-day letter saying it's an unsafe structure, and we could go ahead and tear it down. So, but that is in the process. I don't have the list with me right now, but as I recall, we've probably got 13 to 15 houses that we're recommending for the demolishing.
Ms. Simonette? Ms. Ford?
I'm looking at the last page on the cracks on Marion Street, filled by Public Works.
Okay.
That has been filled or just repaved those streets. I mean, I'm not in favor of the piecemeal, because that still looks unpresentable or tacky. And I'm just curious
Okay.
about that.
That particular, it was a quick fix.
Okay.
This was called in by Chairman Tooley. He called me and said there's a hole on Marion Street, and I want it fixed. Okay. And he sent me a picture, and I sent it to Public Works, and they got on it and got it patched the same day pretty much. So this was a quick fix. We've got a lot of areas that really needing some attention. This was just, I tried to, when I get a complaint from a board member, I try to make sure that they know that I did something with their complaint. So this was a issue, one of the issues that was called into me.
But they won't forget about it.
Right.
Okay.
Dr. James.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, this is kind of way forward, but as a planner, I don't remember last summer, but is there a month where I'm just wondering, can we determine if there's a month where a lot of us may be absent in August or something like that we may not have a meeting, so we'll know ahead of time? I don't know if that happened last time, summer.
Well, we the last meeting that was council was when we had, I think it was Juneteenth. Juneteenth, we, because it was the same night, the banquet was the same night as the meeting.
But that's not going to be this year, so we may not have a meeting where...
It won't, I don't think it'll be, because our meeting is the second Tuesday, and Juneteenth banquet is scheduled for the 13th.
Okay, so that's three. I'm trying to make some plans, so I was trying to see if there was officially one time during the summer we don't officially meet, but we did meet because of June 10th, and that was it.
Right.
Okay.
Anything else, Ms. Sir? Anything else for Mr. Bryant? No. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bryant. I do want to compliment the work that has been done. Yes, sir. Just a second. I just wanted to compliment him on the work that was done with straightening out some of the issues on Marion Street. There were houses there that people were living in and people were living behind, and that was taken care of very well. There was one house that was boarded up, and they took the boards down, and they fixed that back up over on Cedar Street, and we want to thank you for that. Mr. Berger.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to add to Charles' report and say that coming up on April the 25th, I believe it's from 11 to 7, we're going to have a wayfinding meeting. Yeah, and that's over at the Peabody Auditorium, the Rose Room. So this will be the second opportunity. The first meeting we had here about a month and a half ago in this chambers. And what did I say?
April 25th?
25th of April, I'm sorry. It's a Thursday. Am I still on schedule there?
What time?
It'll be from a period of, it's like an open house. It's from 11 until 7. So look for that. Also, if you go to our website, you'll see the information on there where we put out our news information right on the front page. It'll be right there. And there'll also be some information about the Land Development Code rewrite. I think we have, Rich is not here, but we are starting that process again of going through the Land Development Code. And it's been a lengthy process, but it's on back on a fairly fast track.
Okay.
So look for that. It'll give you some links. There's not going to be this is a large document. It's not going out in paper to everyone. So if you want to look at this document, we encourage you to go to the website, follow that link, and that'll get you the document on a computer. There is, of course, the city clerk's office. If you want to look at a hard copy of that, you can also go over to the Volusia County Library over on City Island, and you can look at one copy there. And my guess is we'll have a copy in our office that one of us will have, if we haven't marked it up and put Post-it notes all over it. But that's the best I can give you for how to get at that information right now.
Okay. And one question, Mr. Berger, not in relation to the land development per se. What became of the county council meeting?
This is regarding CRAs. And the county council delayed for, they said 60 days. It'll, I think, actually come back in that first Thursday in June for a review. In the meantime, all of the cities at the city manager level have weighed in on what kind of information needs to be pulled together and for their respective city commissions to hopefully deliver a unified message back to the county about what the concerns are. Now, the resolution that's before the county council is for new CRAs, but there's also a lot of heartburn that because of some statements that have been made in public meetings, that this will also involve existing CRAs like Midtown. And so we're not going to wait for that to happen. We're going to be proactive. Message should be sent back in May so that County Council has enough time. Our commissioners and mayor will all be equipped with some information from staff that will help them in communicating any concerns we have.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am.
To Mr. Reed, will the board get a copy of the Midtown budget this time?
Certainly. If we're talking about the one that's coming up,
Yes.
yes. As we go through that budget process, about this time and as budgets are being prepared, and as you know, in past years, we have also encouraged the board to provide some of its input on priorities. As you know, there's very little money left in the pot to just simply operate what we do in the Midtown area. All the capital that we have, and there's no new money going into capital, but the capital that we do have is set aside now for Orange Avenue, with the understanding that it could be used for other capital projects, depending on what the grants and the loans and the revenue sources are going to end up being for Orange Avenue, and how much is it going to cost. There's supposed to be, in terms of getting to some hard numbers, information coming back in June. So by June, July, we'll know a lot more about what this picture is and what we're doing. I'd also say that Martin Luther King, as you know, just doing something there with that street, particularly the pavement that's between ISB and Orange, is an issue. And we are going to go back and look at what it takes to do the full, while we're doing a large project here with Orange Avenue, let's see what it's going to take us to get that rebuilt from ISB to Orange. And we'll be looking at this with an eye towards the Midtown Master Plan.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any public comments?
Well, a lot of what I would say has been said. I was going to share with you that I did ride with Charles and Reed on Friday for 2.5 hours. I wanted to see Midtown up close and personal through their eyes, and what were the concerns that they had, and how could I help them be successful in helping Midtown be successful. And I saw pretty much what you saw, and I shared with them that I had two really, really great concerns. One was the deplorable look of the buildings, as you've stated this evening. You know, it's ridiculous that so many places are boarded up and they're left boarded up for so long. So we need to check into, I said we need to get some teeth in holding these property owners accountable for the properties that they have in our city. If you're not going to live in them, if you're not going to keep them up, then let's tear them down so we can do something about it. Because how can we attract businesses? How can we attract families to move into Midtown if it looks the way that it looks? And they concur with that. So we're going to find out what we can do. I like the idea about the list. I didn't know about the list. So things are happening since our ride. I wanted to commend this board for the work that you do. I wanted to thank those of you who are on the board, remaining on the board, and to welcome our new board member. We're missing a board member tonight, Will, aren't we? Okay. And to welcome you to the board and encourage you to take a ride as well, to know exactly what it is that you're advising us in regards to with the legislature and site plans and what have you, know what it is that you're looking at, and any of you. And I also ask that you would call and ask questions like it was stated that some of you have done. And if you see something, interject that to Charles and Reed. That's what they're here for. Let's take advantage of the service that the staff is to provide for us. And also to let you know that I'm available as well if there's something that I can do for you or what have you. And just wanting to encourage you to vote your conscience, to read your packets, to be on time, because you are the eyes and the ears of Midtown. And I depend on you, because Midtown is in my zone. We're in this together. And so together we can make a difference. Are there any questions of me? Hearing none. Congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other public comments? All right.
Let me be public. I don't need to say anything anyway. The county council came up with one bright idea that I've heard since I've been here 4 years. I've heard the one idea was selling the rights.
Oh, you need to give us your name.
I'm Bill Shanks. I work with y'all. I'm the alternate planner.
But he's on the board. He's an alternate board member.
I am an alternate board member. But to sell the rights to name facilities as people, and I hate Mr. G left because he said, well, who would pay for that? Think about Orlando. Amway Center, Ladies Cosmetics, bought at $50 million a year. I came up with an idea for Midtown. They want to see things to happen immediately, with visual. I've got a copy for everybody. These are little mini parks. They own the lots that are 50 foot by 100 foot that you typically couldn't build a house on. And they average in cost from, I've got cost estimates, but I won't go into that. But I want to leave one of these with everybody. But if we name these parks after downtown Chevrolet dealer by an ex-friend of the company here, that charge them $5,000 a year to have their name on this park for a matter of 10 years, we've probably paid for 4 more parks because the cost of these little parks are less than $15,000 a piece. So it's an idea that if we're going to be cut back in funds of picking up ways to pick up funds, and I'll give everybody, Charlie. There's 3 different ones. One is there's no playground equipment. One's horseshoes for seniors. Bocce ball is the other one. The third one is for kids. It's a tricycle track. They get on their tricycles and they ride around a racetrack. And mama sits on a bench and watches. These are just ways to clean up a small lot and put something on it, usable, put a fence around it to keep from being abused, and sell the name of it. And I came up with this idea about 4 o'clock this morning. And when I don't sleep well, but what you see is what you get on about an hour and a half. I did prepare for lunch today. But these are ideas to think about. And when it gets into this idea of selling rights to name things.
Okay.
And and by the way, on this backlog of buildings to be torn down, have you ever thought about giving these to the fire department and let them use them for training and burn them down? So
that's true. That's true.
If you're getting back, burn them down.
Burn them down.
If you have something that's tough. I know a guy in Nashville who does this for a living.
We do want to recognize past Commissioner Ms. Shelley. Thank you for coming out and being with us. Mr. Bethune, thank you. And at this time, we'll have our board comments. We'll begin with Ms. Cato.
Good evening again to our board. I wasn't able to stay at the last meeting. My husband wasn't feeling well. That's so sweet. At any rate, I want to start off by saying thank you to our commissioner. When we had the workshop at the Dickerson Center, she took the time at the end, after she had had a long day. I think she just flown back in town from somewhere, but at any rate, she took the time to listen, and I kept following her around the gym. If not, she told me who to go see. Thank you for taking that time, and one thing I noticed since you've been elected is that you're very involved with the community, and I'm following that through the paper with rallies and marches, and concern to some of these families who've been burdened down with bereavement and issues that take a public outcry. And I commend you for going that extra step outside of your duty, something that's not in your job description, to be of support to the community in a time of need. My second concern, and I don't want to rehash, but I think a person's personal life and what they do outside of City Hall, as long as it does not cause a sunshine law with the board, I think it's very low that it becomes an issue. And I'm saying that in reference to the elections, because we cannot converse with each other and we can't meet outside of this meeting. I think we all were kind of floored to know that our chairman was not on the board. I didn't dig into it to try to find out why. I just stayed in compliance with the board. But when it comes to a meeting and we want some clarification, I think we as a board deserve that, because none of us, even right now, I still don't understand what happened. I'm saying that to say this. We had money. It was taken and put somewhere out of our budget. We were told one thing in a meeting. There was a statement made at a workshop. We came back to a meeting and we had someone give us this long explanation of why things were done. And I think if we sit here and volunteer and give of our time and our mental thinking, and I don't think anyone on this board has presented ourselves that we demand, if not, we're going to retaliate in some type of manner, that we get what we want. But I think for lack of confusion on a few issues, not just about the budget, but Ms. Simonette brought it up. I have been asking and asking and asking, and my questions never get answered. And I actually give 30 days. I don't demand the answer that day in the meeting. I ask for the question and the answer to come back at the next meeting, and I still don't get it. What bothers me is that we sit here and we approve projects, and before they come to us for the first reading of projects, the projects have already been started. So what good does it come to us to approve something when Spanos came to us the first time? They'd already started. There are a lot of things that go on in Midtown that are started. We see it happening, and then it's on our agenda. My understanding was that they come to us to approve something that has not been started yet. But on the other hand, they go to the city and file the proper paperwork and get the proper permits, and they go with the project, And even if we disapproved of these projects tonight, it would turn into a legal issue because they've spent this money to where the city would have to turn around and buy them out. The point I'm trying to make is, as of tonight, with the new chair, Denise Cato would appreciate it that the board is advised fairly, and that we're told things that when we as a board attend a workshop, that we are all not trying to figure out, well, this was said and this was said. I'm not trying to rehash. It's just a concern. I tell you all in all of my comments, I'm here to fight. I'm here to fight for Midtown, because everything in the city of Daytona, where it's supposed to be one city, Midtown is still being passed over. And when it comes to that Orange Avenue project, personally, if you're not going to go from International to Shady Place on MLK, don't do it. Why patch it? Why do a quarter of a street? When it comes to Orange Avenue, my only plea is that we start at Nova Road, because we know what happens with projects. They run out of money and people have to meet deadlines. So if we're going to go from Nova to Beach, start at Nova Road. Give us this one opportunity for the majority of the street that runs through Midtown to be done properly, and not start at Beach Street, and at the end of the property we just get whatever's left, and it looks good, but eventually physically it won't be good. Charles and Reed, I commend you on all of your hard work you do to keep us informed and get us the information that we need. Mr. Tooley, I look forward to working with you and Mrs. Hurd as well. And good luck. And all I ask is that you let the word be known that we're a serious board and we're about business in Midtown. Thank you.
Ms. Benjamin.
Mr. Chair, congratulations, and I'm looking forward to working with you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Ms. Simonette.
First, congratulations. And I like to just say to Charles, and for all the hard work he does going out, this is really good because we get to see some of the things and we know he's trying. So thank you, Charles.
Thank you. Ms. Ford.
I would like to say thank you for allowing me to be on this board as a new member, and congratulations to you, Mr. Tooley, and I look forward to working with you and Ms. Hurd on these projects and to make Midtown a better place. And thank you to Mr. Charles Bryant for taking the time out with me, and we met for about 3 hours the other day. But he was very thorough, and along with Mr. Gross, we sat and we went over a lot of things to get me up to par with what was gonna transpire tonight. So I appreciate that, and I just look forward to working with everyone to make our area the best it can be.
Dr. Jameson.
I'm going to piggyback a little bit on what Ms. Cato said here again. I heard the words transparency so much during the last election, I deleted it from my computer. But it is something that I was being concerned with for the past few months in terms of I'm assuming everything that happened here, but I hear other things from the community, so that's where I was a little confused about what I was going to say a bad word, what was going on. So, and here again, you cannot always assume we know something. So a little bit more transparency is I think may be necessary in terms of I don't want to know anybody's business. I just want to know that which affects this board and affects my community. And I definitely agree with Ms. Cato on the Orange Avenue project. I've said that before. I've seen enough to know that when a project starts, something's always happened halfway through. So I'm here again, I'm going to say it often as I can, they need to start on Nova and work their way to Beach. But I also want to see a little beach money in the pot for Orange Avenue. And I definitely agree that from International to Orange, in terms of the road, there's not a whole lot there where we're trying to build people, the people come in to make a community. That's more businesses on that part. The only resident from International to Orange, I think, is one house, and it's empty. So if you're going to do the road on Martin Luther King, just keep going. Or start on the other end and come back, because the only thing I can remember in that spot, or correct me wrong, is a store and a building that I won't even talk about that refrigerator place. I don't see any need to make major improvements at that point, but on the other end of Martin Luther King. And yes, I do stay on the other end of Martin Luther King. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Hurd?
I first would like to say congratulations to you, and I must interject that you did have a great campaign speech given before you were elected. But congratulations, and we're here to work together and make Midtown a great town. ISB to Orange Avenue, yes. Entire MLK. You should ride with me sometime, attorney. I'll be going from Orange Avenue to Shady Place on the left-hand side of the road. Good thing I haven't received a ticket. And to be done. And also, summer. And during the summertime, dances are given, parties are given, not at the big house, but I'm concerned about posters on telegram poles. And if I were code enforcement, I would warn them one time in front of their property, and they'll be charged the next time. It takes away from the appearance of the community with big posters on signs announcing an activity, not only in Midtown, the Derbyshire area also. And I just don't understand how some people can pass by all of the time and see posters and never do anything about it. We are looking forward to the Juneteenth banquet. That is, please mark your calendar. It's still early, but June 13th on a Thursday night. Bethune-Cookman did a wonderful conference, the Weekend Women Conference, and I must say I was part of it because I talked a little about 2nd Avenue. And maybe sooner or later, we're going to talk about MLK, because it was a great street during the day. And sooner or later, you will be able to see the clipping from 2nd Avenue and Dr. Ford and the group. They're doing a fantastic job. Thanks again, Mr. Bryan, Mr. Berger, and Attorney Ross for all of your hard work. And I must say thank you for having confidence in me to be back on the board. I must say thank you. That's it.
Thank you. And let me close out this first meeting by saying that I want to thank everyone for having enough confidence in me to vote for me to preside over this particular board. I want to let you know that my heart is in Midtown. I was born and raised in Midtown. The house I live in, I was born in. Okay? So Midtown is very dear to me. I do want to take the time to thank the commissioner for coming out, to thank Ms. Ford, and welcome her to the board. And we look forward for some great input from you. I thank you all for keeping everything so germane to the topics that we were dealing with. Because, you know, sometimes we do run down bunny trails. But I thank you for keeping everything germane to what we were dealing with. I want to thank the staff for all your hard work. And I'm going to take the time now to thank our secretary especially for the work that she does, because she often goes unheralded. And we look forward to a very productive rest of the year. And if there's any things that you need to get addressed, please get with Mr. Bryant and let him know. And also Mr. McLemore. He is open to hearing from us. All right? And sometimes, even when people aren't open, you need to go and talk to them anyway. And that's all I'm going to say on that. But thank you all. If there is no objection, the meeting stands adjourned.